Just look at these, towering faces carved out of solid stone, thousands of years ago. These are the colossal heads of the Olmec, one of ancient Mesoamerica's greatest mysteries. They're incredible portraits, but they also hold some deep secrets that we're still trying to figure out. So let's just stick to the evidence and see what it can really tell us. And right away, we're hit with a huge puzzle. On one hand, you have these magnificent monuments. I mean, these things weigh tons and they were set up in ceremonial plazas to project pure power and authority. But on the other hand, this is how most of them were actually found, damaged on purpose and then carefully buried. So why? Why would a culture pour so much effort into creating these permanent symbols of power only to turn around and ritually end them? That's really the question we're going to explore.
Now, before we get too deep into the why, we really need to build a solid foundation. So let's start with the bedrock of evidence, the things archaeologists are very confident about, based on what the stone and the soil themselves have to tell us. Okay, first, the absolute basics. We know for sure that there are 17 of these colossal heads, and they weren't just found anywhere. They come from 4 specific major Olmec sites. You can see them here: San Lorenzo, La Venta, Tres Zapotes, and La Cabada. And thanks to stratigraphy, the layers of soil they were buried in, we can place their creation by the Olmec civilization somewhere between 1600 and 400 BCE.
And here's where it gets really interesting: the material. Every single one of these heads is carved from volcanic basalt. Now, through what's basically a geological DNA test called geochemical fingerprinting, the stone has been traced all the way back to the Tuxtlas Mountains. Just look at that distance. That means they had to haul these gigantic boulders up to 150 kilometers, that's about 90 miles.
And think about how they did it. This is what's truly mind-boggling. They did it all without wheels, without draft animals like oxen or horses, and without any metal tools. Microscopic analysis of the carvings shows they were shaped using only other harder stones. The whole process, from quarrying the boulder to floating it on rafts to the final intricate carving, was just an incredible feat of human labor and organization.
So, who are these faces of? For a long time, there were all sorts of speculative theories. But now, the science is pretty clear on this. DNA evidence from burials at Olmec sites has confirmed indigenous American ancestry. So, the key takeaway here is that these are powerful portraits of local, indigenous American leaders.
All right, so we've covered the hard facts about what these things are. Now let's shift a bit and explore what the evidence suggests they were for. How were they used, and what might they have meant to the Olmec people?
The leading interpretation is that these are portraits of actual rulers, and the evidence for this is pretty compelling. Each face is unique. They have different features, different expressions, plus their huge size and placement in public plazas strongly suggest they were meant to project the power of the elite. Now, we have to be careful here. This gets a B for confidence grade, because while the evidence points to them being portraits, we don't have any writing, no name tags to tell us exactly who they were. And it seems like these heads had a life of their own. The evidence shows they weren't just carved and then left in one spot forever. Many of them were moved around. Some even show signs that they were recarved from even older monuments, maybe giant stone thrones. It suggests these statues were dynamic objects. Their meaning and even their location could change over time, and their impact lasted for centuries. This is something we can say with very high confidence. The Olmec's whole idea of carving these massive individual portraits in stone had a huge legacy. You can see how key Olmec symbols and the concept of ruler portraiture carried on in later Mesoamerican cultures, most famously with the carved stone monuments of the Maya.
And that brings us right back to the central mystery. We've seen the incredible effort that went into making them and the power they likely represented, but that just makes their final chapter all the more confusing. Why go to all that trouble, just to bury them?
It really is the question at the heart of it all. If these were the ultimate symbols of a ruler's authority, why would you deliberately destroy and bury them? It just doesn't seem to add up.
So here's one interpretation. Maybe their burial was a political act. In this scenario, damaging the head was like a symbolic killing of a past ruler's image, maybe when a new leader took over. The fact they were buried so carefully suggests a formal, ritual process. But, and this is really important, notice the C confidence grade. It's a plausible story for the motive, but it's still just an interpretation, not something we can prove with the physical evidence alone.
Here's another way to look at it. Maybe the heads were more than just political portraits. Perhaps they were seen as sacred icons, connecting the ruler to mythical powers.
The headgear they wear, for instance, looks a lot like the helmets worn in the sacred Mesoamerican ballgame. Maybe the symbols on them link the ruler to gods or ancestors. But again, this is a C-grade interpretation. It's based on reading symbols, and without a written key, we can't be sure we're reading them correctly.
So we're left with these competing ideas. Was burying a head just a normal cyclical ritual when a ruler's reign ended? Or was it the result of a violent takeover, with a new group destroying the symbols of the old one? Or maybe it wasn't destructive at all. Perhaps it was an act of reverence, a way of respectfully returning a sacred object to the earth. The evidence that they were buried is rock solid, but the reason why? That's still a mystery.
And this is where we have to be honest about what the evidence can't tell us. Without a written record, we can't know the names of these rulers. We don't know what the average Olmec person thought when they looked at these giant faces, if they felt pride, or fear, or something else entirely. And we can never know the full symbolic or religious meaning the creators intended. So, after laying out all the evidence and acknowledging all the uncertainty, what are we left with? What is the real, enduring legacy of these stone faces?
Let's just quickly recap the things we can say with a very high degree of certainty. The Olmec people organized a massive workforce to move and carve multi-ton stones using only other stones. They created these 17 amazing heads, moving the raw material over incredible distances. And these heads represent indigenous American individuals, standing as a powerful testament to the complexity and capability of this culture. And why does it matter that we're so careful about this? Well, for one, these heads are a direct record of how early complex societies worked. They also help establish the deep indigenous roots of Mesoamerican civilization, which is a vital counterpoint to older colonial narratives. And finally, studying the heads is a perfect lesson in humility, in carefully separating what the evidence actually supports from what we can only guess at. 3,000 years ago, a society organized itself to carve a human face into a mountain. The stone does not tell us whose face it was or why they chose to remember it. It only shows us that they did. And maybe that simple, powerful act of remembrance is the most profound message these incredible stone faces have left for us.